insatiable want. You know that there is famine across the globe. The other day, it was the YouTube. It automatically suggested me a video of some place in Africa, and when they were going through a drought. And this thing, it comes to my mind. Do you know that world food production, the food that is produced in the world, half of it gets wasted.
Yeah.
50%, imagine, 50% of the food that we produce, it gets wasted. It doesn't reach the end consumers, or it's not consumed by
Wow.
people. And so what does that tell us? So currently there isn't a problem of not enough food being produced. With regards to food, the problem is distribution of food. Food is not being distributed properly across the globe. Some people, they have too much and they're wasting, and some people, they have got nothing to eat properly.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, all right. Let's start this discussion of ethics with this question that it gives us over here: data harvesting. So, about all these social media companies, we have been hearing this in news lately a lot, that they mine data or that they use the data of their consumer.
Yeah.
Okay, so whatever activity we do on our devices, it leaves behind a digital footprint.
Yeah.
Using that footprint, the businesses, they analyze consumers' activities. They get to know, they know more about our psychology than sometimes we ourselves know.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is this famous incident that happened at Target some time back. I don't know if we discussed that anytime before or not. Um, what's this? Pause, freeze, print on off.
Yeah. This is the Photoshop task that they asked us to draw.
Mm-hmm.
It's like draw
Mm-hmm.
this X-ray thing.
What's the? I mean, is Photoshop good? How would you rate it? I mean, any thing that you can do on Photoshop which perhaps you cannot do elsewhere, other photo editing tools.
Um,
So
there's
nowadays,
3D. You can 3D
hmm,
print.
hmm,
You can print 3D
mm-hmm.
objects.
You can design 3D objects. For 3D
Yeah.
printing, you would need a 3D
Yeah.
printer. Okay. So 3D designing you can do on Photoshop.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. 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 All right. All right. So I was talking about this Target incident. Uh, Target is a chain store. You know that they are the retail chain stores. They have got many branches in perhaps many countries across the globe.
Yeah.
Okay, so some there is this book called The Power of Habit, and it's a very famous book. It is about behavioral economics
Yeah.
and about other things as well, but it's largely around that. So the Target, they hired a statistician, somebody who has got his degree in statistics. When
Yeah.
they hired this person, uh, on his first day on job, or like soon after he was hired, he was visited by a few people in the from the sales, and they asked him this question: can you tell us if a woman is pregnant even before she herself knows, or before she discloses it?
Yeah.
So
From the
obviously
history
from the
research.
hmm, so there are a few like very obvious cues. For example, the sort of shopping that you would do for I mean, if somebody is buying stuff for babies, or
Yeah.
any medication around what's usually purchased in
Yeah.
pregnancy, that would tell. But there are other cues as well. Okay, so what they then did was that they found out a way that using which they could tell if a woman was pregnant or not. And then uh, they, for example, they identified this lady, and I mean many consumers, but from one particular household, the Target store, it received a phone call. The manager
Yeah.
of the store didn't know what it was about. But the phone call went on like this, that why have you sent this pamphlet at our home? What are you trying to imply? Okay, the person he got offended, the person who had received the pamphlet, and apparently his daughter wasn't married or something like that. So the store manager, he apologized. The person was fuming. Anyhow, the call ended.
Yeah.
Some weeks later or some months later, just on touch base, just to maintain some contact with the customers, the usual routine, the store manager called back that person and asked if all was going on well, and he apologized again for the pamphlet that they had sent earlier. And the person replied that no, maybe there are a few things that I need to set in order at my own house. So the
Yeah.
persons who had sent the pamphlet, they had predicted from the behavior of the lady, but then they quickly realized that if they send such pamphlets out, there would be an outlet from the consumers that
Yeah.
you are spying on us. How come you know about our activities, or what are you? I mean, you're interfering too much in our lives. The next thing that they did was even more crazy. So what they would do after that is they'd send you a pamphlet, a general catalog, would look like any normal catalog with a lot of products on it. But the products that they actually want to sell you, and for the reason for which they had sent this catalog, they'd strategically place them. So
Yeah.
human eyes, whenever we receive a page and whenever we are sifting through pages, there are certain places on pages where we give more attention as compared to other portions of the
Yeah. Yeah.
pages.
Yeah.
Okay, so they would strategically place ads of the products that they actually want to sell on those particular places. And to any normal consumer it would look like any normal catalog,
Yeah.
but it would be gearing them, showing them that okay, this product is being offered at this store and I was thinking about this product, maybe I should go and buy it from them.
Yeah.
Okay, just to increase their sales.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the question is it ethical to use, first of all, to gather such data, and secondly, to use it? Another example of use of such data is for there is this documentary on Netflix, documentary type movies, The Social Dilemma.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's around
Oh, I
the
can watch it because I got Netflix now.
okay, okay. So it is around the last Trump campaign. The Trump, when he got into power, he employed, after the election, if you follow politics a bit, you would have known that after the elections, there was a lot of outcry in USA that elections have been hacked, that
Yeah.
Russians, they have interfered in the elections. And there were, for the first time, mass use of this word fake news. So what actually happened was that the Trump side, they realized that in order to win elections, all you need to do is have, first of all, in America there is this electoral college vote system. So
Yeah.
even if you do not win majority of the vote, you can still become the elected president of USA. One thing. The other thing is that there are some states which always vote Democrat, there are some states which always vote Republican. So those are sort of confirmed. For example, New York nowadays is there's always the Democrat candidate would win. Texas,
Yeah.
almost always the Republican candidate would win. And there are certain states which are called swing states. So sometimes the Democrat candidate wins, sometimes the Republican candidate wins.
Yeah.
Okay, so they said leave aside all those states which are confirmed for Republican or Democrat. Let's focus on these swing states, and on these swing states, also focus. Let us try to come up with database of consumers, sorry, of voters who sometimes vote Democrat and sometimes they vote Republican,
Yeah.
and let's target these people, and let's show them such selected data through the social media that on that, just before voting, they
Yeah.
have a favorable point of view regarding your candidate, or they have an unfavorable point of view regarding the other candidate. And to do that, even if we need to show them false information, if we need to tell them lies, we'll show them such ads. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there was also this company Cambridge Analytica which was involved and which had harvested this data from Facebook, and which allegedly sold this data later on to the Trump campaign, and using this data and exploiting this data, they won the election campaign. So the point of both of these stories is that this data, the information, the digital footprint that we leave behind, it can be used for business and for political purposes.
Yeah.
The question now comes, is it ethical to do this or not? And to define whether this is ethical to do this or not, the first thing that we have to do is to come up with the definition of ethics. What
Mm.
is the definition of ethics?
It's like how the business carries out
Hmm.
operations,
Ethics is generally defining what is
or like
right
a
and what is
guideline.
wrong.
Yeah.
Just defining what is right and what is wrong, that is ethics.
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing is, once you have defined the ethics, the next thing is that the question is, what is acting ethically? Acting ethically is obviously acting in line with what is right according to your ethical standards,
Yeah.
and avoid doing things which are wrong according to your ethical standards.
Yep.
The third thing is are these ethics, are they universally accepted, or are they universally the same, or
No,
do
they're
they vary
different
from?
between
Okay,
like
generally they vary, but there are a few things which are overall throughout the globe considered
yeah.
unethical. For example, you should not lie, you should
Yep.
not tell a lie. That's again, what constitutes a lie, the definition could vary, but generally speaking, we all agree that lying shouldn't be done. I mean, you shouldn't engage in making untrue statements when conducting business.
Yeah.
Similarly, cheating someone, what
Yep.
constitutes cheating might differ, but cheating people, that's considered bad across the globe. All right, the third question is, sorry, the fourth question now is, we'll hold on the fourth question for a bit. Let's see, strategic decisions. Okay, so let's see what are the strategic decisions. We know we have already studied about what are the strategic decisions, the decisions which would have a long-term impact, and the decisions which would determine the direction of the business, or for example, the important decisions of the business. Okay, how would these important decisions be affected by ethics? So first of all, there is this question of environment. Nowadays there is this large hue and cry about the worsening condition of environment. So whenever you are to engage in a production decision, whenever you have to do carry out the production, taking care of the environment around you is the ethical thing to do, even if something is not unlawful as of this
Yeah.
moment, but still, if it harms the environment, or if you consider in your actions saving the environment, that's the ethical thing to do.
Mm.
Okay. The next is this thing of animal rights. For animal rights, the example we can think about is that these pharmaceutical companies and all the scientific research otherwise as well, it was mostly conducted on animals. Okay, so in
Yeah.
psychology you must have studied that they perform these experiments on mice or monkeys,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they'd even give them cocaine,
Yep.
or I mean whatever they want to experiment them with.
They once they we were
Electrical
studying
shocks.
about the
Hmm.
suprachiasmatic nucleus.
Hmm.
It's like sleep,
Hmm.
external factors like light and
Hmm.
stuff
Hmm.
that tell you to like go to sleep.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
measured by the SCN. So
Hmm.
the experimenter, he took the hamster SCN
Hmm.
and then put it in like a hamster that has like a sleep disorder,
Hmm.
and then that hamster sleeps good now. So
Hmm.
now you can see this SCN plays a big part in
Hmm. Hmm, 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 hmm,
Yeah, and
hmm,
even like even the book says it's unethical.
hmm, hmm. So there are experiments, and for example, there have been experiments with regards to animal rights. Sometimes for have you seen Stanford prison experiment?
Stanford,
Prison experiment.
like the psych ward experiment,
Uh,
or just
is that
prison?
the psych ward experiment at Stanford? They had this group of people, and they created a
Is it
fake
about
prison.
schizophrenia?
No, 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 no. It's
Oh,
about power.
hmm.
So some people they said that you are guards,
Yeah,
and to some people they classified them as prisoners,
yeah,
and they knew that these aren't actual prisoners, and I mean everybody knew these aren't guards, but they said just to experiment what would, this is not to do with animal rights, just a
yeah,
thing. So down the road the guards they started behaving so much unethically, knowing that their behavior is being documented, knowing that they did not, this power that they have is being
yeah,
superficial, and despite that the way they behaved they had to terminate the experiment midways. So I haven't watched the Squid Game, but maybe a real life close enough version of Squid Game or something. Do look it up, Stanford prison experiment,
yeah,
after the class maybe. Okay, so animal rights and the things that we have, for example, if you're testing a medicine on the animal, what if the animal dies? The
yeah,
animals a lot of time they get tortured during these experiments.
yeah. But
So
sometimes people think like rats
hmm,
are useless
hmm,
and
hmm,
they can make
hmm,
babies
hmm,
anytime they
hmm,
want.
hmm, hmm, hmm. So that's the thing that if it were and it's a double-edged sword sort of. So all right, we won't do these experiments on animals. What's the alternative?
Yeah,
Pharmaceutical companies and those who are doing these experiments, they're saying what's the alternative? So
yeah,
previously, these nowadays so-called modern nations, what they used to do was, yes, that they would experiment the same things on war prisoners.
yeah,
Experiments had to be done, and they assumingly felt no liability that they had to treat these war prisoners with respect. So they'd carry out experiments on them.
yeah,
Anyhow, okay. Then there is this question of uh, developing countries. So, for example, if you do a job in, first of all, there are a few things which are, for example, child labor. We have even child labor is could be in a way contentious. Uh, if you are employing a child, and this happens in South Asian countries a lot, that many a times for household help we employ maids or we employ servants. Okay, then
yeah,
some people they deliberately employ little children,
yeah. Child
because
labor.
to these younger children or these smaller children you don't have to pay as much as you would
Yeah,
have had to pay an elder.
yeah,
So this is straight away unethical.
yeah,
All right. Similarly, these businesses doing mass production, sometimes there are a few countries which are notorious for employing child labor. And
yeah,
if you're employing children and if you're paying them fine, I mean, as you would have paid the amount of money you would have paid to an elder worker or senior aged worker, then seemingly there might be a case for it. Even though somebody might still object that that is the developmental age of child, he must have exposure to
yeah,
studies, he must not have been put under the work stress,
yeah,
but still if they have being compensated fairly there might be a case for it. But most
yeah,
of the times the reason that these businesses they involve child labor is to save costs.
yeah,
And then when you know that a country has been involved in utilizing this child labor or previously there was slave labor, is it ethical to still get your goods produced in such countries simply because they save costs? Okay, so
yeah,
nowadays there have been allegations against the garment factories in Bangladesh because most of the garment production for these top brands of the world, the goods they get produced in Bangladesh. And
Yeah.
Bangladesh, there have been many cases where women have been employed and children have been employed, and employment is one thing, they aren't being paid enough. Even
Mm,
for here, it mentions developing countries, but even for developed countries, for example, there have been allegations in Walmart. I had heard about Walmart, but there have been, I mean, some concerns about Amazon as well. So
mm,
there were cases when they would have people working shifts, and people working shifts, their supervisors would tell them to wear diapers because they weren't allowed to go for bathroom breaks or
wow.
restroom breaks. Goes to that extent. So if you know that a business has been, is employing such techniques or is acting unethically, you wouldn't want to uh, do business with them.
Yeah.
Similarly, there is this issue of corruption. For example, there are countries where a lot of bribery happens. So if
Yeah.
you want to open a plant or a factory in such a country, you might have to bribe
Mm,
the officials over there. It could be the case that there is no legal framework in such country which is against these briberies, which is
yeah.
against these bribes. Okay, uh, the question is it still unethical to, in for example, is it all right to give bribe in a country where bribery is not illegal? And this has been a question in A level business in Cambridge in the past, that there was a country where bribery wasn't illegal, so bribery was legal. And
Yeah.
in order to start business over there, to start their manufacturing plant, the business was asked by the government officials to make some facilitation payments. So now they asked us what the business should do in this circumstances, and
Yeah.
what would be your response to it? Hmm.
Mm. So bribery is,
Bribery is legal in a country. Let's
yeah.
just assume for the sake of it, bribery is legal in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And you want to start a business in Pakistan, and a government officer, he asks you for a bribe. Should you give
To
him
start
that
the
bribe?
business,
Hmm. To start a production facility in Pakistan,
yeah, if the bribery is legal.
then there's no problem. What if it's illegal in your country but legal in Pakistan? Would you still do it?
No,
Why not? I mean, what if it's
because
what if the law in both countries is silent? You do it. That's what
if
you
the law
say.
is, yeah,
Hmm. The thing is that for
like I
moral,
would, if
hmm,
I wouldn't even think about it because
hmm,
the culture and
hmm,
ethics
hmm,
that I grew up in are
hmm.
different than,
For us, religion, it gives us the set of ethics. I mean, for
yeah,
Muslims, it's something different.
yeah,
For non-Muslims, it might be a consideration that if there is, for us, even if thing is legally allowed, but the religion say it's not allowed, and somebody still does it.
yeah, like alcohol,
Alcohol, that person would be
yeah,
straight away an outcast by the rest of the
yeah,
community. That fine, it's allowed by the legal laws, but
yeah,
our community standards, our
yep,
religion, it doesn't allow us. That's one
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
From the even secular point of view, from even the secular point of view, the things which you know to be morally wrong,
yeah,
okay, even if the law is silent, you still, the even from the secular point of view, you are taught to still go along with what the moral guidelines, what the moral compass tells you to do, because first of all, this thing is wrong, so you shouldn't engage in wrong behavior. The
yeah,
question of right and wrong. The second thing is that what if tomorrow a law gets introduced that this thing is illegal, and all those who have, and that law, it gets applied retrospectively. So whenever we have a law, whenever a law is imposed in a country, it can be imposed in two ways. One is prospective application, that this day law is passed and henceforward we'll do things this way. And sometimes law is applied retrospectively. So law is passed, but its date of application, the date of its applicability, it's before the day it gets passed. So right now on 8th November, we pass a law which we say would be applicable from 1 July.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah.
So if such laws get passed, then the business would definitely get in trouble. But even without the law, even without the law, the things that you know to be wrong, you shouldn't engage in such behavior.
Yeah.
Okay. Other The problem of this right and wrong is that systems they collapse if everybody they keep on or for example, if the reason that law exists, even secular countries, you cannot, for example, there is every other day the debate about freedom of speech, or
Yeah.
people they commit actions and they say they go for there is no absolute freedom of speech anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. In UK they say that freedom of speech, in France they say freedom of speech. The French, there, I mean, there has been this pattern in Pakistan. There has been an ongoing political situation because of some time back the French they allowed publishing cartoons of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right?
Oh
And they
yeah.
said that we won't stop such people from publishing these cartoons. And the same president who said that we won't stop these people because of freedom of speech, when somebody published his cartoons or his caricatures, he sued that person. He took legal action against that person.
Yeah.
So there goes your freedom of expression. I mean, something you wouldn't accept for yourself, but you are not ready to have the same standards for others just because it doesn't concern you right away.
Yeah.
So that has been sort of an example of moral double standards. So people they do not the consumers, if they get to know that you're doing something unethical, the more aware these consumers are, they wouldn't like to engage in business with you if you they know you to be ethically wrong. And even for those who still engage in business with you, down in their heart or within their belief system, they know that they're doing something wrong,
Yeah.
or they shouldn't be engaged in such behavior. So that's the question of corruption, and if there is a legal framework against it or in favor of it. There have been issue of new technologies. So for example, these genetically modified crops,
Yeah.
should they be consumed or not? Initially they are proposed as, I mean, something revolutionary, but later we got to know that maybe the quantity of the crops we have increased, the yield we have increased, but these things they can still result in health hazards or damage to the
Yeah.
environment.
Sure.
So,
So, what's
hmm,
the definition of ethics? Like, just briefly,
definition of ethics,
rights and wrongs.
moral rights and wrongs. Yes, the set of moral rights and wrongs is the ethics.
Moral.
Okay, then there is this issue of advertisement. So, for example, should you show advertisement of a product in an area where the large number of or the masses they do not afford to buy this product?
Sorry.
Should you show advertisement of a product in an area where the masses do not afford to buy this product?
Mm-hmm.
Some people are affluent and they can buy this product, and eventually they will, which will boost your sales. But the large majority of the people they do not afford. Similarly, there was this issue that until some time ago, you could show ads for children. You could add direct ads at children.
Yeah.
Okay, and now that thing has been banned in USA. In USA now you cannot direct ads at children. The reason being that children they do not have that mental faculty to properly analyze the decision and to properly analyze whether the product is good or bad for you. So if you
Yeah.
just convince them
So
that
you're
they
just
need, they'll
taking advantage of
hmm,
children.
so they'll be after their parents to get them that good then.
Yeah.
Okay. And
It's
no matter
also like
how, hmm,
product availability is like when you only like make the
hmm,
rich people be able
hmm,
to buy that product.
hmm, hmm, hmm. Uh, some things, okay, this question of ethics, personally, I find it a bit tricky in a few things. So the necessities, and I'll be honest with you. This I have had debates with a few people over this issue. Should a teacher charge a high fee
For
for tuitions?
mm,
I'm
depends on the
my
experience, and the degree, I
uh,
guess.
the question is around that you are giving something which is a merit good, or something which would benefit the people, or something which is to some extent a necessity. So
Yeah.
should you make a profitable business or highly profitable business out of necessity for someone else? The same question goes for pharmaceuticals,
Mm.
that if a pharmaceutical company it wants to maximize its profits, should it do that? Because it is doing that at the expense of patients. So I am making a business. So consider this thing. If there is food shortage in some place, should I go and do food business over there?
Also, no, I think.
So these things are eventually at the end of the day, somebody has to grow and sell bread.
Yeah.
Somebody has to learn and then give education. If you remove the profit incentive, then nobody would do it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and the market would be in a worse
So
condition.
you're not doing it for the people, you're just doing it for your
So
sake of the company.
I am open to this. I mean, for me, it's still a question mark over this thing. What is the extent of the profit that you can charge? What is the extent of the profit that would be moral? And beyond that, it would be immoral.
Yeah.
There isn't any set rule for that. Also, there is this, sometimes it's proposed that the government they regularize the selling price. So for example, for medicines, usually maximum price is prescribed by the government.
Yeah.
You cannot charge.
Like the RSP or something? What?
uh, the final price,
Mm,
MRP, the final market retail price
MRP.
to
Yeah.
the consumer, that is set by the government. You cannot
Yeah,
sell
yeah, yeah.
any in most of the in many countries, or in a few countries, the government they regulate the market prices for uh,
Products.
pharmaceutical products. Okay, the problem then is that few businessmen would want to engage in such business where their final selling price is being regulated. The more regulations you put on business, the fewer people would like to do that business. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the more regulations that you put around a business
Yeah.
activity, the fewer businessmen would like to do such business.
Yeah. Because it's like
Okay.
more restricted.
So if in this particular day you start putting restrictions on that only these people they can teach,
Yeah.
the number of teachers would fall overnight.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing,
Yeah.
navigating this issue of ethics. Then we have seen that internationally businesses and countries, for other countries, when they see them acting unethically, they put embargoes on them. Okay, so for
Yeah.
example, if USA sees Iran misbehaving or doing some unethical thing, US puts ban on Iran, sanctions on Iran. So nobody in the USA or anybody who wants to do business with USA can engage in business with Iran.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how sanctions internationally work, and that's how countries they forcefully try to enforce what they consider to be ethical or unethical.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the benefits and downsides of acting ethically?
the benefits, I
Hmm.
guess like the customers,
Hmm.
they feel like uh
So some businesses they might use their ethical stance
oh, the
as a
employees,
USP. Hmm.
they could be more loyal to the company because they're
Hmm.
being treated
Hmm.
with
Hmm.
respect and
So
morality.
so people who see that they're doing, if they see that the organization it's acting ethically, they would not only do their work for the sake of work or for the sake of contract that they have, they would feel being part of a noble cause.
Mm,
All right, so that could increase some of motivation for some of the employees. What else is the advantage of acting ethically? So one is this increased motivation for employees.
yeah. Could be like, yeah, unique selling point. Like they could use ethics
Hmm.
as a way to sell
Hmm.
their products
So
and advertise.
I have mentioned perhaps this before that L'Oreal, while marketing their or to the people who come to their store, they tell them that no animals were harmed in creating these products. So they are trying to encourage people to see the positive side of their business.
Yeah,
And whenever you see somebody doing a charitable, not exactly charitable, somebody acting ethically, one way of encouraging that ethical behavior is to reward them. And
yeah,
you say that I wouldn't buy from people or cosmetic companies which harm animals. If I have the choice of choosing between a company which harms animals and a company which doesn't, maybe I'll go with the company which doesn't harm animals.
yeah,
Okay. Uh, okay. The other thing is that businesses they could market this same ethical stance in order, or they have to. There might be a legal requirement for certain cases to show your ethical position in order to avoid penalties. So if you act unethically, the all the ethics which have been codified in law, you have to comply with them to make compliance of law. Because if you do not comply with these particular ethics, you could face penalties. So, for example, uh, treating your wastage before discreting it or before excreting it from your production facilities.
yeah,
That is the ethical thing to do. And that is also the legal compliance to do. Because if you let out untreated wastage from your production facilities, you
yeah.
could face legal penalties.
Mm,
So it's both ethical, and since those ethics have been codified in law, you have to follow those that particular set of ethics. What
yeah.
would be the downsides of acting ethically?
Maybe like profit loss because you might
Uh,
have to
Costs would
make some
increase.
changes
Costs would
in
increase.
your raw materials,
Hmm.
suppliers.
Hmm, You might have to buy more expensive raw material. You might have to do a few more tests. You might have to set up more procedures. You might have to. You might have to. Uh, I mean, employ additional people to carry out that to verify or to keep observing whether the ethics they are being observed or not. So one, it could increase cost. The second, it could reduce revenues. So, for example, another question that was there in the other book, the Cambridge Business book,
Yeah.
is doing is producing weapons ethical? So, weapon
Oh,
companies,
that's because you have
okay.
self-defense and you have the
Hmm.
negative
So, all the
effects.
terrorist activity that happens in the world, somebody somewhere produces weapons for them, right?
Yeah,
And if these weapons weren't produced, the terrorists would have fewer weapons.
yeah.
Okay.
But also the cops and
Hmm.
all the good people will have fewer weapons.
Hmm. Uh, do you know about London Metropolis? I mean, in London, the police,
Yeah,
they do not have firearms. You know that, right?
yeah, yeah,
And in their society, I mean, in Pakistan, where there have been this issue of law and order since long. I mean, I in my entire life have seen news around this,
yeah,
and there have since almost my birth, but I mean,
yeah,
at least till my from my teenagers, there has been a war going on in the neighboring country.
mm,
So, by virtue of that war, a lot of weapon it flows through the country because the forces fighting U.S. forces, their weapons they used to get transported through Pakistan, and
yeah,
then sometimes their cargoes would get robbed.
yeah,
People from that war zone did escape into Pakistan, and
yeah,
people revolting against the forces of Pakistan. I mean, we have had major law and order situations
yeah,
in our country since long. So the question is that if all these weapons they weren't produced,
yeah,
neither the cops nor the terrorists
yeah,
they had the weapons, then wouldn't it be much easier to control it?
yeah.
And even for if you're providing your weapons to the cops
So
or
that's like
to,
saying, let's print more money and everyone's gonna be rich.
let's print more money and everybody is going to be rich, I think it's a bit different from that, because it would be like, let's take away drugs so nobody would be a drug addict.
But then people will still find the way to
There wouldn't be as
get
many, right?
euphoria or something.
There wouldn't be as many.
Yeah.
Obviously
It's like
somebody at the end,
back then
in London
we didn't
still
even know
crimes
what,
happen, so people when they
yeah.
don't find firearms they just take up knives and other sharp edge stuff and they start,
Yeah,
I
like
mean, they
back
go
then
on the
how did
rampage.
we discovered fire like somehow.
hmm
So see like now anyone can discover anything other than gun.
hmm 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 hmm
See?
hmm. Even for the cops, the point that I was trying to make, that anybody who is waging a war thinks that they are just and the opposing side is unjust,
Yeah.
and the opposing side fighting them thinks they are just, and the people who are fighting against them, whether that be the system, whether that be the cops, whether that be a foreign invasion, they are
Yeah.
the ones who are acting unjust.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, ethics issue, and depends which side or which particular area or which particular ideology you ascribe to. Okay. So it can reduce revenues. Obviously, if you are a weapon manufacturing company and you are asked to not produce weapons, your revenues might reduce. If your
Mm,
business it gets revenues from an activity which is unethical, obviously cutting back on that activity would reduce your revenues.
yeah.
In Pakistan, just an example that came to my mind, there is this content called Ajinomoto. It's used in
Ajinomoto.
cooking. Chinese salt or MSG. These products they have been considered hazardous to health, hence they have been banned in Pakistan and I think across the globe.
So my friend told me like Pakistan marijuana grows on the streets.
Marijuana grows in the plot
Or
next to my
weed.
house.
Oh.
I'll show you Instagram of my. I mean, we went for a hike. Are you there on Instagram?
Yeah.
Uh, Search this ID SBM 2909
SBM
2909.
2909.
Watch the photos.
Wow.
This one
Is
where
this
this is
thing
my
there?
brother. This is my brother holding this leaf, and then
Yeah.
this shield, and the one with the pillar in it. It's literally my the house next door.
Wow. That's weed, right? That's
Looks like it. I haven't tried it, but
same.
looks like it.
Wow.
The place where I live in Pindi and
Yeah.
up north, it's quite common. It grows wild.
Yeah. Bro.
Huh, 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 huh. So, when are you going to come visit Pakistan?
Soon,
Soon, inshallah.
inshallah.
Hmm. Okay, benefits, downsides, this we have discussed.
I actually
Uh,
want to visit like everywhere. I just want to go around the world.
I also want to travel and maybe, inshallah, someday. My brother is coming to
Yeah,
Dubai
inshallah.
in Jan. But you live in Abu Dhabi,
Oh,
right?
yeah, Abu Dhabi.
I haven't been to UAE. I've been to Saudi a couple of times. I
Yeah,
planned
same.
to go to Turkey, but I could not.
Mm,
Pakistan, I've explored most of it. There are
mm,
just a few places left in Pakistan
yeah.
which I haven't visited. Just one province, to be precise, Balochistan.
Oh,
So the rest of it I visited. Yes, before I got married, I used to joke around that I'd go to Bora Bora for honeymoon. There is this. Do you know about Bora Bora?
what?
Bora Bora.
Island?
These are islands and they're like beautiful. So this is Bora Bora.
Yeah, I saw it.
So someday inshallah, I'll
Inshallah.
go. Hmm.
It's
Traveling is
everywhere.
fun. Traveling
Like
is
all the
fun.
tourist shops they have the picture of Bora Bora
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
just out there other side.
Maldives is also similar. Maldives. I mean, these
Oh yeah,
beaches and
Maldives.
such hotels you have in Maldives as well.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
got a few. Okay, so my travel list, unfortunately, the places that I would have liked to visit, they have almost all have been turned into war zones. So I would have
yeah.
liked to visit Syria. I would have liked to
Oh,
visit Yemen. I would have liked to
yeah.
visit Iraq. That's in the
Oh,
Arab world. These three
yeah,
countries, I'm just fascinated because of the rich history that they have, and especially with the Islamic history of
yeah,
these three places. I would have loved to visit, and obviously Palestine.
yeah,
Then I'd like to visit Uzbekistan because the three famous cities Bukhara, Samarkand, and Tashkent,
yeah,
they're all there in Uzbekistan. Then the
yeah.
other place I'd like to visit the Western Africa, Morocco.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Have you been to
Morocco
Morocco?
is no,
Marrakesh. So
no.
that's one more place I'd like to
I've been
visit.
to
Hmm.
Sudan,
Hmm.
been to Saudi Arabia,
Hmm.
been to Canada,
Oh, nice. What's Canada like?
US. Canada, it's quiet.
It's quite peaceful.
And there's this Young Street or Yon Street.
Hmm.
It's like the longest street in the world.
Oh, when did you
Oh,
go over there? Was it like winters when you went to Canada?
no, it wasn't winter.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Mm-hmm.
winter?
Hmm.
No, I never touched snow.
I've touched snow, but I haven't seen snowfall. I
The
have
closest
been
I've
to.
gone to touching snow
Hmm.
is Ski Dubai.
No, I've been to snowy areas. I've been to areas where it snowed just the last night. I've done snow hiking, but I haven't seen an actual snowfall.
Hmm.
Okay, USA, where did you go?
USA, I went to Iowa, New
Mm-hmm.
York,
Was it like a study
LA,
trip or?
Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, my family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice, nice, nice.
Yup.
And how long ago?
Whew. Like 2000. 16,
Oh, recently.
2017. Yeah,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Nice, 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 nice. Where would you like? I mean, if you had the option and you could have lived anywhere in the world, where would you have liked to live?
Tokyo.
Tokyo.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everything is beautiful,
But
calm.
isn't there like a lot of people in Tokyo? Like too many.
I mean, that's what I like. I like.
So you like hustle bustle. You like
Yeah,
there to be social activity around you.
socializing and
Mm-hmm.
events,
Mm-hmm.
drama.
Hmm. 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 My wife, prior to my marriage, I didn't have much, let's say, liking for this Eastern Asian culture.
Yeah,
It wasn't that I disliked it, but it wasn't that I mean, I didn't know too much about it to like it or dislike it.
yeah.
My wife, she used to watch Korean dramas,
Mm.
and she has watched like too many of them, and a few Chinese as well. She has watched so many Korean dramas that just by watching Korean dramas, she has learned Korean.
Wow.
She can understand Korean, and
Like fully or just words?
I mean, I think if you drop her in Korea, she could survive. That much Korean.
Wow.
So
Okay,
she
I'll
can't.
start watching Japanese.
Hmm, hmm.
I already watch anime in the Japanese.
I don't. A few of my friends, they have been, or a few of my students. One of my students, he had been after me that you should watch anime, and I said that who watches cartoons, and
It's interesting.
apparently that offends people that you call anime cartoon.
Interesting.
Hmm. So there is the one, there's Alchemist something,
Oh,
Full Metal Alchemist
Full
or
Metal
something.
Alchemist. Yeah, Full Metal Alchemist.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's good.
I
I
tried
already watched it.
watching it.
I
I
heard it.
tried watching it to tell you the truth. I couldn't watch the first episode full.
Okay, I'll recommend you one. It's good. It's
Which one?
called Case Closed.
Case closed.
Yeah, it's
Is
about
it on
crime,
Netflix?
and
Net.
I'm not. I don't know. Case Closed. Oh, you watch Money Heist? Do you watch
Mm.
Money Heist?
Money Heist, I don't watch. It's my brother.
Start watching it.
Somebody he has. I mean, my brother he made this Netflix account, so maybe to him, this was the closest resembling face. I watch very different kind of shows. I'll tell you what I watched. You told me which one right now?
Case
Case
Closed.
closed. Case closed. Uh, which one is it? Or it isn't there?
No, it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want. I watch it like on some random website.
Hmm. Also, Full Metal Alchemist. Which one is it? This one or this one? Or this
Second
one?
one.
The second one?
Yeah. Wait. Third one. Third one, I think.
This one?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, One Punch Man is good.
One
One Punch Man
Punch?
is really good.
This one?
Yeah. One Punch Man.
Okay, I'll give these a go. Usually, what I watch is like dark sarcasm
Mm.
or documentaries. If I'm watching fiction, do you know that show Rick and Morty?
Yeah, Rick and Morty.
I watched that, and
So you
the
look like someone that watches Family Guy
I look like
or
someone
The
who watches The Family
Simpsons.
Guy.
Yeah.
No, I like Rick and Morty, and
So do you
uh,
know Family Guy?
I've just heard the name. I don't know about the show. I haven't even watched Friends.
Same. I don't know what's
Hype is
fun about.
about. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
what the hype is about.
The other type of shows that I like in which I liked Sherlock.
Yeah.
I like the shows with a strong. villain character.
Mm,
And there was this show Black Mirror.
yeah.
It's on Netflix. So I mean, when I'm watching something, I'm trying to process it in my brain as well. And something that I find mentally not engaging, I can't watch that. I mean, those sitcoms I can't really watch for long or
Okay, you should
ever.
try Money Heist then, because
Uh,
I'm watching it now and
I started watching Money
it's
Heist,
crazy.
but every now and then I get this idea that I shouldn't be watching Netflix. So then I dropped, and that was the time this Money Heist it got dropped
Oh,
because I start watching shows, and then after some time I realize that I shouldn't be watching shows and doing other
why?
stuff.
Oh,
Um, I've got to tell you the truth. One day I've got a few classes.
yeah,
Then I'm doing two courses along with these classes.
bruh.
So one course is of tafsir. So this is a
Yeah.
program called Muddakir, and they
Oh,
ask you to read 5 pages of they have a
like they
prescribed
explain the
tafsir.
IS to you?
Hmm?
They explain the IS to you?
They just ask you to read the
Or is,
tafsir, and each day there is a test.
oh,
Okay, and each weekend there is a test of one juz.
oh, okay.
Okay, they ask you questions from tafsir. And this other program that I'm currently doing, so first semester, this thing is called Tafsir Academy. First semester we had courses which I was able to pass with relative ease, but this time around,
Congratulations.
oh, thank you. This time around I feel stuck. So right now I am doing this course on Nahv. So this is how it's done. Usul Tafsir done.
Yeah.
Usulul Fiqh is what I am to start now. The last one finished is An-Nahv, but I have lagged so much behind that final exam it has started today, and in next 2 days I have to wrap up this entire course.
Wow.
So these sort of things. I try to minimize other content because the thing that I like the most is religious studies. I like
Yeah.
reading is like if I could ever choose one physical activity that I would always do, it would be swimming. And other than that,
Oh, swimming.
if I choose any activity, it would be book reading.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I like
I
to read
used to
books,
swim too.
and you like swimming too.
Yeah. I
I
used to swim
won't.
like
Hmm,
professional.
I like swimming, but I'm not a very good swimmer. The reason is that maybe I didn't have the chance to swim a lot. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so I'm sort of a self-taught type swimmer,
Ah,
and I'd like to learn and practice it more, but
yeah.
don't get much chance. And the other thing is reading. And in reading, I read almost every type of thing. I read novels, I read non-fiction, I read autobiographies, I read book about economics, psychology,
Yeah.
crime, everything, stories. And
Mm,
but the thing that I'd like to read the most is Islam and Islamic history and Islamic sciences.
yeah.
So also I'm trying to learn Arabic.
Oh,
Being a foreigner, my Arabic isn't that good.
yeah.
So, and soon, within a month, I'm supposed to submit a research paper for this program in Arabic. And I don't know
Oh.
how I would do that.
So I can help you.
Maybe I'll send that one to you for
Yeah, and I'll give you
checking
like
my
tips
grammatical
or
errors
grammar.
and
Yeah, yeah.
hmm, hmm. I'd really need some help on that one.
Yeah, sure. I'll help
Hmm,
you.
hmm, I'll keep you updated. So what I have to do is I have to actually write analytical tafsir of Surah Rahman ayat 37 to 54. That's my
Oh,
research topic.
yeah.
Okay, and for analytical tafsir, they have a program. I mean, one of the modules is about how to write the research paper. So they give you all the guidelines.
Yeah.
But as we know that the analytical tafsir, I'll have to do all the grammatical analysis, the text analysis, the ruling analysis, and the context analysis of the surah.
Yeah.
So, and that too, everything in Arabic. I have no idea how I'll manage it, but I'll keep
Yeah.
submitting you that thing from time to time for corrections. Okay. Okay. Back to this thing. So we have discussed this code of practice. Businesses sometimes they have these codes of practice or ethical codes of practice, so that those are usually their internally made code of conduct in which they have codified the ethics which they'd like their workforce to follow. Okay.
Mm.
Pay and rewards, remuneration. Okay, with regards to pay and reward, what is the ethical thing to do? First of all, the most basic thing that a business can ever do is to give at least minimum wage. Each
Yeah.
country they have a prescribed minimum wage, so paying anything lower than that is unethical. One thing.
Yeah.
Then we know pay is a good monetary rewards are a are good motivators. So if you want to keep your workforce motivated, you have to reward. One way of doing that is to give them proper rewards.
Yeah.
The next thing is to attract. That is for existing workforce. That if you want to motivate them, then uh, to attract people with good skills, you need to reward them good. Because if you do not reward people with good skills, they already have good skills, somebody else might reward them and attract them.
Yeah.
Okay. The third thing is you can increase productivity of the people sometimes by rewarding them with proper money.
Yeah.
So this is with regards to pay and rewards. The last thing I think in this chapter is corporate social responsibility. So corporate social responsibility is that the businesses they themselves decide that we want to do something beyond. I mean, everybody earns profits, everybody maximizes sales. They say that we act in an environment. We are not
Yeah.
acting isolated on a planet. So when we are acting in an environment, we must leave some positive outcome for the environment around us. And the activities that a business does to leave a positive impact on the environment around them, those would be corporate social responsibilities. So
Yeah.
a business they might, for example, fund some charity, or open and run a hospital, or donate for charitable causes, or build infrastructure for the community around them,
Mm.
or for sometimes they do is, for example, pharmaceutical companies they operate free medical camps for the localities around them. uh, Providing infrastructure, including they could build roads for the community. They could provide, for example, some company which is generating energy, they could
Mm.
provide energy free of cost to the society around them. What else is mentioned? Social and okay. Okay. Then what a business, another thing after doing the social, I mean, having done these corporate social responsibilities a bit, or even without doing CSR, a business might want to know what is its impact on the environment. So for that, what they do is they carry out this activity called social audit.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do they get to know about in these social audit is the employment indicators. For example, is your staff happy with you?
Mm.
Are you complying with human rights? Okay.
Yeah.
The community around you, are you leaving a positive impact or negative impact? Do your employees and management work ethically? The products that you create, is it after due consideration, and the product being launched is after due consideration that it would not harm the people who would consume the product? Are you making any false claims in your advertisement? Are you trying, just in case to reduce your costs, are you
Yeah.
trying to expose your consumers or your employees to unnecessary hazard?
Yeah.
Okay, the production that you do, how much does it add to the carbon footprint? Okay,
Mm.
uh, the items, for example, how much plastic do you use? Do you give proper expiry dates, proper usage guidelines with the product
Yeah.
that you sell? So these sort of things, you'll get these notified in what audits? What are these audit calls I told you? These were, no, no, these audits, they have a name. Allahu Akbar. Social audit, social audit, social
Yeah.
audit. The problem with social audit is that, first of all, it's not legally mandated. So a
Yeah.
business might do it, a business might not do it. The other problem with social audit is that many companies, they do this audit themselves. Okay, so there is this
Yeah.
question of objectivity, that if you're doing your self analysis, are you rigorous enough? Are you calculating all that needs to be calculated or not?
Yeah.
So these are two main problems with social audit. Okay, this.